Hi Otobong, nice to meet you.
Same
and thanks
here.
for taking time.
It's
It
a
was really
pleasure.
nice to see you preparing with the women, getting into the mood really.
Yes.
So this is going to be a new piece you are establishing for this 14 Rooms project.
Yes,
Tell
it
us
is.
something about it.
Well, I was asked by Ulrich Obrist and Klaus Biesenbach to propose a new piece that will be part of the 14 Rooms here in Basel. And so it was quite a daunting task because you have all these names of artists that are here and also quite excited to see the works that are here. And so I did a piece in 2013 which was called Taste of a Stone, Itjade Saufok. And for this, I was interested in seeing how possible it would be to extend this piece with other bodies, other women that are more or less like me. So this piece was done in Sharjah in the Emirates, and I performed the piece as a solo piece. But here I'll be having 7 women that will have the plant Queen of the Night, which is also called Cestrum Nocturnum. And it's a plant that only blossoms at night, smells at night actually. And during the day, it has no smell. But I was interested in seeing, having this relationship between the body and also the plant, the connection between both, and also the connection between the women that will perform this. So the title of this piece itself is called Diaspore, so really looking at the idea of the double, the two, and the spore, the seed. And when we think of diaspora, in a way we think of a seed that has broken into two and then goes elsewhere and continues the journey elsewhere. So it was looking at that as a piece on its own for 14 Rooms. Yeah.
I saw that the floor is like a, how do you call the map?
A
topographical
kind of map, yeah.
How do you...
Well, I was using the floor in relation to the idea of also how you look at land from above, like an aerial view situation, and where most times you don't know who lives there or what is there in that space. But I was also using that kind of topographic map as a way of mapping and the bodies that enter the space, not only the performers, but the people that enter the space really have a sense of entering into someone else's territory. So it's using drawing within the space to create that once you enter into a marked territory and you feel that, okay, how do I move within that? And maybe it could be a possibility that people want to move within, use the drawing as a way of mapping themselves in the space. But the performers actually use that space to map also how they move, where they stand, and the relationship to different lands. So we can actually give each little space a story. Somehow. Yeah. It's really about displacement and about finding one's place within the space they find themselves. So if we have to think of the notion of diaspora and people shifting from one space to another, it's always a negotiation. Not only negotiation in the territory you find yourself, but you're negotiating with the people, you're negotiating with the climate, you're negotiating with everything. And so you have to find the balance within that space. And if not, you just can't survive in it. So it's really talking about that. And I think also, now these days we're getting more and more issues about migration and people moving from one space to another. And we've always been migrating. People have shifted from one area to another and found their way of marking their territories. But with the contemporary issues of crisis and fear and economy and all that, it makes that notion of territory even much more pregnant somehow with the fear that someone else might come in and take it. So there are many things that I'm thinking about, but I have to choose a layer. I have to choose one part for me, which is always interesting, is the poetic, and how the poetic can still talk about the political and can still talk about the social. But I believe that the poetic, like writing a poem, and which you talk about the pain or you talk about issues, you're able to touch maybe a certain part which is not the same as if you just wrote it out bluntly. So that's what I'm interested in, that you can reflect with what is happening, and all these layers can create the possibility of reflection. Some people will see it and some won't, and that's fine.
Also, the women who came together now to perform your piece,
Mm-hmm.
They've also come from all different parts of the world,
Yes,
right?
they have.
And it's interesting to form a new
group or a new energy within the space. There is Aleta Hayes, who has come from California, and she's a performer and a teacher at Stanford University and a choreographer, and she's worked with many people, and she's really great. And then there's Donna Hastings, who's a lawyer, and she lives in Berlin. She's from Jamaica and from New York, but now lives in Berlin for 20 years. There's Kaishera James, who is a singer and who is from Jamaica, lived in New York and now lives in Berlin. And you have Bona, who's from the Guyana Islands, and you have one of the girls from Cameroon, another one from Eritrea, another that's headed from Eritrea, Stephanie from Cameroon, and you have also Nathalie, who's French Gabonese. So it's all a mix of women, and they have not met themselves before, so they're just meeting now. And it's quite interesting to see how the diaspora and the seed that are spread in different places through different kinds of ways of displacement. So it's not just one. One is voluntary, and some are involuntary, and some are you inherit that displacement that happened centuries ago. And so it's quite interesting to see, for me also, to see all these women and what are the similarities or what they question or are the things that are, that kind of resonate within each one of us. And so it's kind of interesting to see that in the preparation, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Anything you'd like to add?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it would be great to see how the piece develops, since it's a new piece, and also quite anxious and looking forward to it, because we have to work so much on like the voice and different things like that. But I think it could be good. I hope so.
It would be pretty fabulous already. Exciting. Yeah. I'm really excited to see it.
Yeah, I think this piece is really working from the emotions, and so it's not so much very much a piece that is only about the brain work, but I want that the performance should come from somewhere beyond. To be able to perform the piece, you have to have a certain kind of emotion that you transmit to the public, and that is very crucial, that there is that transmission to the public. However it is, well, we'll see.
It worked pretty well this morning already,
Okay.
so I'm pretty sure when it's all sort of set,
Yeah.
it
will come together.
I'm sure.
Yeah. But now you see like the whole women together. But I think in the piece then you'd have like one woman, and then you would have two women together and another woman. So it's always, you get to see the identity of one person at a certain time and the duality of those identity with someone else, and how that combines together or conflicts together within the space. So within the way of thinking of the performance, you have like the seed or the dia between the person and the plant, and then you have the dia between two people and their plants. And it's like also when they separate, it's like a seed that splits itself. So it's also looking at that idea of the title and how I was thinking it in relation to the kind of ways the body moves in space, or the formations that are made within the performance itself. Yeah.
Great. I'm excited to see it.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.